You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host. Wait, he's not here.
Turquoise Truffles.
Turquoise Truffles. Oh, Mr. Rudolph got him. That Red Moon reindeer.
Yeah, Vanilla Steam's gone this week.
He's gone.
Gone but not forgotten.
He's not with us, but you know what? We're here. We're here to keep you company, give you all the latest. Well, a look back. A look back at the year that was 2022.
2020 poo.
Our rundown of what our favorite films of the year was, and were, and what our worst films of the year were. We're gonna tell you what we think.
I think that this year was immaculate. It was just
immaculate.
Great. We're wrapping the year up with
immaculate, like a conception that just happened this past Sunday.
Exactly.
Jesus was born.
Exactly.
Christmas Day.
Exactly like that. And how else can we celebrate such a year full of auteurs and geniuses, but with this final review for the year?
I'm telling you, we saved the best for last.
I'm just so glad.
You thought it was Avatar.
I'm happy that all of us ignorant people that can't fathom the greatness of these Hollywood directors we're able to bask in the glow of its glory.
I know. I couldn't agree
the word
more.
Immaculate.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, we just. I think maybe Sean's not here this week. I think with all three of us together, the brain power that we have, maybe we could somewhat conceive of just what this film was trying to tell us. But without all three of us in the room, I just don't know. I don't think we have enough.
Well, we definitely,
enough intellectual presence.
Going over the best films of the year, the worst films of the year, what we're looking forward to next year. I think we'll definitely speak of this a little bit more, maybe. Speaking of immaculate, you mentioned the birth of Christ, baby Jesus.
Baby Jesus was born.
Everyone had a wonderful, wonderful Christmas.
We do. We're going to talk about that a little bit in our story time segment. We actually got that coming up this episode. Story time, talking about how was your Christmas? Don't tell us yet.
It was.
Could be a surprise.
To be, continued. Later on down the road.
I love it. Ooh, we're not having brewskis this week.
No brewskis. A nice warm coffee. It's been cold out. There's been a winter storm across half of America. If you didn't know, hit us here in Kentucky with negative 0 temperatures.
Negative zero. Wow. That's
below
insane.
0. Yeah.
I'm telling you, nobody hits negative 0.
Negative 0. I hit negative 0.
Maybe Ryan Johnson could.
But yeah, below freezing, below 0 temperatures.
Hey, we had a white Christmas.
We did.
I was actually really happy. It snowed Friday. Was so cold throughout the weekend that it stuck around for. It's still around.
It got a little warmer Sunday. It's supposed to get warmer throughout the week. We're supposed to have a 60-degree New Year's.
My brother-in-law, who's from
everything's
Georgia,
already starting to melt.
He was, I was going to say it got warm enough today for it to start melting.
Yeah.
But it's funny because he was even like, so from Christmas Day to like this Thursday, Friday, it's literally almost like a 60, 70 point swing in temperature.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Welcome to the Ohio Valley.
Kentucky weather. You get all 4 seasons in a week.
It is. It's crazy. But no, we got a great review. We got Glass Onion, of course. We were just hinting at that from Ryan Johnson. And then we've got our headlines of what was the best of the year and the worst of the year. We're going to run through that list.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
And that just seems to be what we're living in now, the worst of times. So that every once in a while, there's a day where I'm like, this is the best timeline. Who knows?
The best of films and the worst of films.
Alluding to?
Well, here's the thing, because we mentioned Rian Johnson already. I don't know if we dropped the review name, but obviously it's Glass Onion. A Knives Out. Was it a Knives Out film or a Knives Out mystery? I think it's a Knives Out mystery.
Well, I've seen 3.
Is the subtitle.
A Knives Out film, a Knives Out mystery, and a Knives Out experience.
Okay.
I know. I've seen a bunch.
It doesn't actually have
ones.
a subtitle, just whatever Ryan Johnson feels like.
I just put Glass Onion on our website.
Yeah, because that's what it is. It's the sequel to Knives Out, which I do believe we gave a 3-star review. I'd have to double check.
I'm pretty sure it is on our website, though.
Yeah. So I did like Knives Out. It wasn't revolutionary, but it was entertaining. So
what about this
here?
What about this one? I think we're actually, funny enough, I mean, it's safe to say that, I mean, when there is this big a discrepancy, it's okay to, I think, let our audience know that we come out on one side over the other. But there it went out. Sorry.
I don't know if I wiggled the. I adjusted my mic, so you
jostled.
know,
but no,
I jostled it.
I think, we come out in the opposite of what I think viewers and
and critics.
Yeah.
It's not even because there's plenty of times when critics and audiences are split, but actually they're fairly even as far as how much people enjoy this, and to an extent I do understand, but there was just, you'll have to hear the review, but obviously I was going to say
I'd wish that we could wish everybody a happy new year with a better film
we can
to end the year with.
Not this one.
But you're going to miss these guys next week. These peeps are going to be gone. Santa and Klaus!
They're still around. They have not satiated themselves on the souls of children, and now they're trying to stick around to New Year.
It's like Amazon. They're trying to make make up for that backlog of presents they didn't deliver. So they got more souls to steal. That's exactly what it is. But no, they're going back in their hole, their Klaus hole next week.
The Klaus hole.
They will be gone.
They'll crawl into their Klaus hole to hibernate for another year.
Alrighty, guys, here is our review. Our last review of 2022, Glass Onion.
This year has blessed us with films from the most brilliant and transcendent minds in Hollywood. From David Cronenberg to James Cameron, we have received revolutionary films and movies that we as audiences can't even comprehend due to the minuscule size of our peon brains. Now, the master of subverted expectations returns. After the successful murder mystery Knives Out, starring Daniel Craig, Rian Johnson graces us with its sequel. The first film I actually found enjoyable. It didn't really subvert any expectations, well, other than it subverted my expectations that Johnson is a poor filmmaker, but it was a well-crafted and grounded murder mystery. Written well enough to give viewers enough clues to solve the mystery themselves, but still throw in enough red herrings to throw audiences off the trail. It wasn't a revolutionary film in the genre, but it was entertaining. Rian Johnson's sequel, Glass Onion, brings Daniel Craig back as Detective Benoit Blanc to solve yet another mystery. With another all-star cast including Dave Bautista, Kate Hudson, and Edward Norton, with even more celebrities popping in as poorly executed cameos, more so than other roles, Glass Onion is a clear example of what happens when you overhype one-trick ponies and directors who think they are cleverer than they really are. While the first film focused on the character of Marta, played by Ana de Armas, as its lead, with Blanc more of an integral secondary character solving the case, Glass Onion flips the roles. While there is a character amongst the cast that fits the role de Armas served in the original, and I will not spoil who this character is, as the significance of the role would spoil a minor twist, the film saves any character development for this person until the twist occurs a third of the way through the film. By doing this, Blanc takes center stage as the lead, and we are denied both a connection with the character whom the emotional narrative depends on, and are given too much of Blanc, whose character quirks and personality were a fun parlor trick in the first movie, selling the clever writing and mystery, but are not grounded or personable enough to make us care for him as the character driving the film. Likewise, the simple and clever writing from the original is gone, with the character's setting and mystery components being both more outlandish and poorly thought out. The mystery isn't inherently solvable in this film until the twist I mentioned occurs, as without it you are missing a vital piece of the puzzle. Once delivered, it completely changes the nature of the mystery. And while yes, this is one way to keep audiences from guessing who the killer is, it's also not clever and it's cheap. It's like asking someone to complete a jigsaw puzzle of a tiger, but giving them pieces to make a dolphin. It's not a twist, it's just a lie. Add on top generic characters that highlight and make fun of current political and woke topics, as opposed to the original where characters were still cliches, but more cleverly written satire of relatable character tropes, instead of non-witty jabs. And Glass Onion feels once again like a movie that Hollywood will praise as highbrow, and anyone who disagrees is too ignorant to understand. And while the humorous writing and big star acting like fools will keep most entertained, I just felt the movie lacked any originality or actual wit. I give Glass Onion 2 out of 4 stars.
Well, there you have it. We're the dum-dums in the room.
Yeah.
We just don't understand thematic elements in storytelling, Keith.
I mean,
we don't get it. Ryan fooled us.
I mean, yeah, mysteries, you know, sometimes they're smarter than the viewers and you don't guess it, or sometimes they just lie to you and pretend that the mystery is this murder, and then it's not this murder, it's a completely different murder, but you never get any clues to solve it, because that's how a good mystery's written. They just say, oh, this was the answer all along.
If I had thought about we could have worked in the fact that Sean's not here as a part of this.
He's dead.
And made it a murder mystery.
Benoit Blanc is
he's at it again. For him. He's right there. But no, I just like the fact that you called him Ruin Johnson.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
He redeemed himself a little bit with Knives Out. Like, I know when I went and saw that with Sean, I was like, oh, this wasn't bad. And this was all original material. He
redeemed himself from what?
As far as not being someone who I thought was just a completely terrible director, I was just like, well, maybe he was just a bad director for Star Wars, but doing his own thing, he's not bad. But then he made this movie, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe Knives Out was just the exception, because he wasn't, I felt like, with Knives Out, maybe it being an original thing, and right after Star Wars, after he had been so lambasted, maybe he was more cautious and more thorough with the writing, even though Knives Out's not brilliant either. I mean, it's good. It's not. But it's not the smartest mystery I've ever seen.
To me, I told somebody at work today, and I told him that I didn't like the film, and I know I'm in the minority on that.
We both are.
But it's funny because I told him, I said, to me, Knives Out wasn't an exceptional film, but it was what all of the Kenneth Branagh, Agatha Christie type movies are striving for. And that to me is, I was like, okay, Knives Out is a good translation of those movies to film. Whereas I feel like most of the Kenneth Branagh, Death on the Nile, Orient, Murder in the Orient, they're very boring, and I just don't. I don't think they're good translations of the novels.
With those books being so old and so well known, and
yes,
by this day and age, we've already seen all of those story tropes. So there's nothing. They were new when Agatha Christie wrote them, obviously. She was a master of her time. But now it's like you've seen those types of stories. So for Kenneth Branagh to make them like that, but we're not reviewing those.
But that's what I thought Knives Out did a good job of doing.
Yes.
Was translating something akin to those onto film.
And actually making it entertaining.
Well, and I even told him, I said, I'll even give Rian Johnson this with The Last Jedi. Overall, if you take the Star Wars name off of it, and you change out some of the tropes, it's not a bad movie. It's just not a Star Wars movie.
It's just kind of a slap in the face to
all the Star Wars fans.
Honestly, the whole sequel trilogy ended up being that way.
True.
I mean, but still, Rian Johnson was the first, I think, after everybody thought JJ played it too safe, it was like it kind of just went downhill from there. Rian Johnson, and then even bringing JJ back was fun. I mean, I enjoyed that movie, Rise of Skywalker, but it just wasn't enough to redeem the whole trilogy.
Agreed.
And Rian Johnson, I think, he came in, he did Knives Out, like I said, after Last Jedi, and I think he wanted to prove that, people didn't like that, but that's because it was a beloved franchise. But if I do my own thing, people will realize, subverting expectations can be good and fun, and for Knives Out it was. And then you get to Glass Onion, where he's like, now I'm going to subvert your expectations from that movie to this one, and not even make a murder mystery.
Which is that's not cheeky. That's exactly what it is. It's cheeky. It's not clever. And what ticks me off the most is that halfway through the film, it completely changes as to what it's supposed to be, because it's not really a murder mystery. It's now filling in all of the gaps to try to make you see the story he's trying to tell. And it's like, okay, because it's a murder mystery to the castmates, but it's not to you as an individual viewer, you could argue, I guess, maybe you don't know who the main villain is, but I'm like, that's BS.
And you guess
if
pretty
you
quickly,
don't know who it is, then again, to me, it's as bad as and again, I know most normal average viewers are going to mistakenly miss this, and I don't mean to sound high on my horse or highbrow.
Yeah, you're pretentious.
I'm pretentious. I'm a prick. But no, the fact is when Rian Johnson explicitly uses a guy to come out of nowhere, this normal average Joe, and says, "Hey, don't pay attention to me," and you basically you make it such a red herring to the point, and being so blunt, to actually then make the audience members, your average film goer, say, he's definitely got to be it because he's telling us not to pay attention to him, which means we should. And it's like, no, I knew from the moment, from the outset, we weren't supposed to.
No,
he wasn't going to serve any plot purpose. And I just thought it was, again, it's like, okay, so basically you're making fun of yourself for making a completely pointless murder
It was
mystery.
kind of his joke at red herrings, because there's always in a mystery, there's facts they kind of give you that are meant to misdirect you from the real clues, but they don't lead anywhere, and that's normal. But he kind of did it in this cheeky way where he's just like, yeah, I'm going to make fun of that and be like, don't pay attention to me, because for whatever reason, because it was obvious from the beginning, like the lead villain, the whodunit, like the whole point is like, oh, who actually orchestrated all this? And it's like, I mean, when you watch the whole movie, none of it makes sense except for one person, and it's just not cleverly written.
Well, here's
they don't
the thing:
give you clues to figure out who did it, or fake clues to who could have done it that wasn't that person.
Because that's not the point of the movie.
No,
the point of the movie is literally just, again, they're part of a murder mystery, but you aren't supposed to solve one like the first movie. It's literally just a movie with a plot and a story structure. That's all it is. You just follow along with these characters. You don't really have to try to solve anything.
And even that would be okay. Like, I could get behind, it's like, okay, so maybe not every movie's a murder mystery, whatever. That's weird. I can get behind that if the movie and characters itself were still entertaining and good, but that was the problem. In order for this plot to work, the character... Andy that you're supposed to care about, you don't. In fact, you don't really get to know anything about that character until a third of the way in the movie, because there's a whole kind of twist around that character they don't want to spoil. So,
I was going to say, if we've to kind of go into some further details as to why we think the movie doesn't work, even on a plot structure.
To spoil stuff, yeah.
So I'm giving viewers a chance. If you've not seen Glass Onion, it's available on Netflix. But if you haven't seen it, turn away now. Come back to our show right after we're done discussing it.
Give us about 10 minutes.
Give us about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But turn it off now. We're going to basically dive into the spoiler of the film right now.
Yeah.
So 3, 2, 1, go ahead.
So Andy,
because you actually brought this up to my attention, and I think this is a brilliant.
It bothers me. Andy was basically the main antagonist's partner in this company that is trying to stop him from doing something she thinks is dangerous. It's this creation of this material they call clear, which is the most efficient energy source that man has made so far. That was another problem with this movie, is how outlandish it was compared to Knives Out, which was a very grounded film, but I'll get into that later. So anyways, Andy ends up being murdered, but she has a twin sister named Helen. But because the movie doesn't want you to know that right away, you don't really get any information on Andy. It follows Benoit Blanc from the first for the most part, and he's just really not a great lead character. He was fine in the first movie because the first movie focused on Ana de Armas. She was the lead, and they actually gave you depth to that character. You don't really get depth from him. He's still just this quirky, I'm brilliant, more brilliant than everybody, and solve this. And that's his only character trait other than the quirky mannerisms. And then you get Andy, who you don't get anything about till the twist happens, and you find out, oh, this is Helen who's taking her place, not Andy, because Andy was murdered. But then the problem there that I pointed out to you was the murderer, who's amongst this group of people, knows he already murdered Andy, so why was he not alarmed when she shows up?
Yep.
Even if he doesn't know she has a twin sister, which was supposed to be the case, no one knew about Helen. But then it's like, well, crap. What is she doing here?
Well,
if
I was going to say,
her? Yeah.
And to me, that when you pointed this out, I was like, look, they already staked too much of a claim, and this is what I'm going to hear any naysayers. This is how they're going to respond. They're going to say, but the whole point of the movie is that Miles is a fool, and he steals other people's ideas, and that he's really an idiot, so he wouldn't understand or it wouldn't make sense. I'm like, look, nobody's that shallow, and two, no, he's not a fool. He makes it very appointed that he points it out very clearly that Miles is a manipulator, and he is an opportunist, and he is somebody that will take and steal other people's ideas to I mean, he's a mastercraft thief is pretty much what he is.
Yeah.
And so I don't sit here and think of him as a fool in terms of a normal idiot savant. It's like, no,
even an idiot savant's going to wonder how someone came back from the dead.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. He's not such an idiot that he would mistakenly think, well, I just must not done a good job really killing her. And just forget about it. It's like,
and not
her
worry that she might
up,
say something like, yeah, he tried to kill me. Like, there's so many problems there. And then, of course, Daniel Craig's character, Blanc, comes along with her, which he doesn't know who invited him at first. But even still, he is cautious about him being there. But he's still pretty nonchalant about it. Like, well, someone just, is yanking my leg and they sent you the invite after they got theirs. And you never really see any cause of concern knowing that he's trying to pull all these things off, and then the world's most genius detective shows up, and then the person he thought he killed showed up, and he doesn't connect the two that, oh, this person I thought killed and this detective both showed up randomly. That seems weird. Like, there's just so much that I feel like even if you say, well, he wasn't worried about it because he had a plan, the movie never addresses it. So it just kind of makes him seem like there's just so many holes that I feel like that it's not a tight script. It's not tight writing. Even as a mystery, even if it wasn't supposed to be a mystery.
Well, it's tight in terms of two things. Dialogue is not bad.
No.
The way in which these people converse is not terrible.
And that carries over from the first.
And that does.
That's about the only thing Rian Johnson, I think, really had a good grasp on.
But that's the problem, is I think too many people use that as a form of saying, well, there's good writing. I'm like, okay, well, just because you can write dialogue doesn't mean you can write plot structure.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you can actually...
The narratives just falls through.
Right. And that's where I agree. It's like, not only does it fall through in it not being a murder mystery, it falls through in not having certain things tightly wound up, even though the movie presents itself as it follows, it helps you follow along the breadcrumb trail as if it's tying up these loose ends. And I'm like, no, you're actually unweaving some very obvious holes that you should see from the outset if you look closely enough. And I think he's keeping his eye on the 20,000 foot view and ignoring any kind of presence of those plot holes. And I think it really shows by the end of the film. I guess now we can kind of dive into maybe, which another thing I know we both agree on and harped on was just the woke
there were
crap
a lot
in
of
it.
And here's the
that wasn't in the original.
I'm not.
It's Hollywood today.
Yeah, I'm not someone who is so nitpicky that I can't, look past one or two jabs here or there. Like, yeah, they annoy me, but I'm like, I expect that anymore, sadly.
True.
And as long as it's not terribly done, like I can get through a movie, and if the movie's really good, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't appreciate those, but they didn't take away. But this movie there was a constant stream of like every 10, 15 minutes is some weird joke. All the characters and their tropes and archetypes are based around politics or woke ideals. The first movie, the characters were all more character traits and genre-specific tropes that are relatable. And yes, while they're still stereotypes, they're meant to be kind of a tongue-in-cheek satire of those stereotypes, and you can relate and understand like what he's going for there. It's not that I can't understand what he's going for here. I just think it's stupid and it's not relatable. It's like I get what Dave Bautista's supposed to be as this big redneck right-wing men's right activist.
I know. It's so laughably
carrying
bad.
this gun on his hip, which is the only gun in the building that goes missing. Because
I never am without it.
Everybody's just like, oh, you got a gun. They make such a big deal because that's the gun that ends up being used.
What I think is so funny is I think it's so hilarious that when Hollywood preaches at us, they don't realize they are the epitome of the people they're making fun of. They are the essence
Kate Hudson.
of. Oh yes,
it's funny. It's like look, she's just this. It's like
a
no, that's
dim-witted
you.
celebrity. I'm like, that is you to a T.
And they think
all of you are that.
Well, it's funny. They think it's funny because it's like, oh, look at this stereotype, and it's like, yeah, because it's true. That's Hollywood now, sadly.
Right. Well, and again, he could easily pass that off as, oh, well, that's what we're doing across the board. It's elitist in general. And I'm like, but you don't throw any left-wingers in there. You don't throw Miles in.
The first one was more elitist in general. This was actually, and granted, I mean, there's some woke jabs in the first one, but not like this. I mean, it's very tame, and I think that stands out.
I didn't even have to say anything about it, but the guy at work even immediately hinted at, and I'm glad he did without me even, because it was the first thing I thought of too. And then knowing he thought of it means that I think a plethora of other people have. But immediately the first person he pulled out of his hat was Elon Musk.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sitting here and I'm like, it's so funny that Ruin Johnson here thinks he's this creative genius weaving this tale of mystery together in this film.
When you can see
and yet
exactly
he's poking,
who he's lambasting. Yeah.
Well, of course. But not only that, but he thinks that Elon's just, Oz behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all the people underneath him that are the creatives. He's just stolen these ideas. And
that's what it's Steve Jobs, because you mentioned they have a little jab about Steve Jobs in the movie, and the same thing. And it's like, it's easy for people to say, well, they didn't do any of the real work. But it's like, they did.
All these opportunists.
Like, I'm sorry that, people are like, oh, Steve Jobs just stole from Xerox, and he just stole from, but without Steve Jobs, all of the ideas that came about in Apple as we know it wouldn't exist. You could say he stole from Xerox, but they didn't know what they had.
Well, I was going to say you could get into the granular details.
You can get into the nitty gritty.
But the fact of the matter is that I think it's so funny that anybody who is giving this rave reviews for those purposes, for the woke ideals that it of course just thrusts upon you, like every movie in Hollywood these days. It's so funny that they spend all that time patting themselves on the back for these messages they put in their films, yet they never look in the mirror and realize that they're the ones who are promoting these messages, but yet aren't really creators of anything auteur, that they themselves are just regurgitating the same dribble for years on years at this point. I mean, at least for the last decade, that they haven't got any creative bones in their body. We just talked about it today with I sent an article about how terrible the what is it? The Witcher Blood and
it's
some Christmas special,
Blood Origins or something.
Blood Origins,
I don't know.
or
it's not a special. It's a prequel series.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's a prequel series that just came out, and it's got a terrible 8% single digit review score from audiences, and even the critic score is not great. But it's so funny because you've already got articles that are like, well, the people who don't like this are racist and sexist, and it's like, so that's your motto now. Your motto is whenever we critique something with merit, you respond with you're an ist.
Yeah.
And immediately you're now in the right because, well, I must be, because I'm just not on the right side of history. Because in the end, doesn't matter what your message is, doesn't matter what your theme is, diversity, inclusion, all these ridiculous notions are what rue the day.
Yeah.
Those are what make your content good.
It's because I mentioned it's really kind of pathetic because Hollywood keeps doing the same things over and over and not learning their lesson from it.
They expect a different reaction from audiences.
They're just, well, when you see, because I used Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones as examples of how to do it right, but in the reverse, if you look at Amazon and how they butchered Wheel of Time, Rings of Power, you look at Netflix and how even the main Witcher series is beginning to tank, and it's like you would think after a while you would just realize there's a reason these books, Lord of the Rings, The Witcher, Game of Thrones, Wheel of Time, any of them that they tried to make into big series, the reason you're making them into a series to begin with is because of how successful the books were, and there's an audience that'll pay to watch it. So why would you completely change it to match these woke ideologies that you think, oh, these books are outdated?
And that's what I think is so
Lord
funny.
Lord of the Rings is outdated because Tolkien didn't include these types of characters.
And yet, that's exactly what Rian Johnson's doing with this film.
Yeah.
He's poking fun at all these people saying, well, these aren't the real intellectual giants that we think they are. Because really, it's other people underneath them that make these things happen. And then at the same time, it's like, oh, so you don't need a director on a film?
No.
Oh, you don't need actual writers to tell you.
On a film.
Oh, you want to go and recreate these classics or these beloved tales that people have obviously throughout time and throughout decades before you were even born said these are great, iconic stories that should be passed on from generation to generation. We're going to take those in name, but as far as anything that value within them, we're just going to omit those because we know that the story doesn't really matter. It's the name that's popular. It's like, oh, okay, so want to talk about standing on the shoulders of giants.
Watch it, and then they're like, oh,
of
this
course.
is garbage. Star Wars, oh, we don't want to watch that anymore because it's not Star Wars. Rings of Power, we don't want to watch because that's not the Middle Earth we know.
Right.
I mean, that's the same thing with this. Granted, Rian Johnson is now creating his own kind of universe around this detective that he's invented, and he's 2 films in, and already you're seeing major cracks. I mean, you have a decent start, and then Glass Onion is exactly that.
And I think that's the ultimate tale of woke Hollywood. But the problem you're seeing is that when there isn't an actual proper narrative, they fall back on these crutches that they know are going to push them through. And again, we somewhat talked about this a little bit when you came over to record, but it's interesting that what they'll start to rely more and more upon is average film goers kind of overlooking, the pop culture messages and just kind of ignoring it. And this is part of the problem culturally that we have. But ultimately, it's not. No, I don't think it's the average filmgoer's job to quote unquote see these things blatantly, obviously on the screen and then complain about it. No, it's to give equal weight to those movies that kind of don't have any social agenda or social message, and to give them an opportunity to shine. And really, I think what the more irritating thing is that you have people who will just kind of shrug their shoulders and be like, "Oh, I didn't see anything woke in it," or "Oh yeah, I can definitely agree with that." And it's so milquetoast and surface level with some of the jabs that he makes that I would agree with some average film goers. Are we digging into the weeds a little bit? Yeah, I would say to a degree. There are some things on the surface level in this you could easily apply to just elitists in general. But for the most part, when you look at the main jabs, you could easily apply the leftist message that Hollywood has been promoting for the last decade easily over the top of this film, and it no doubt fits. And that's my problem. It's just laziness. It's laziness in terms of creativity and in terms of writing. It's just, I can't really come up with a compelling story on its own, so I'm going to fall back on the whims of pushing a social agenda that I know is going to boost me critically. And then for most of your average film goers that are just, they're going to overlook that, or they're not going to pay attention to it or even understand it. Well, then they're just going to like it too.
Well, even the way he went about poking some of the social agenda stuff, like I said, is just kind of outlandish. Like with the idea of creating this fuel source, and you see like when you get to the Glass Onion mansion, and he has like these little like 4-leg robot thing walking around in the background. I remember I was watching it, and my sister was like, "What is that?" I was like, "I don't know. This movie's dumb." Like Elon Musk just sits at home in his mansion and he has all these little robots walking around. I was just like,
here's the thing.
It just didn't feel
even
grounded
something
to
like
me.
that. I thought that was funny.
It was
because of the multi-millionaire aspect. Like when they first get to the island, I thought, okay, I knew some of the tropes they were playing on. I didn't mind some of the jabs they were making early on.
I just felt some of it just felt too futuristic to me compared to Knives Out, that felt like it was set in our world. Like obviously Knives Out just felt like it was something that happened right here any day, and then you get to this one and some of it is, and granted, it's not so far like fetched, like futuristic that I couldn't conceive that someone might make a new fuel source like that. Like it's believable. I just kind of felt like jumping from Knives Out to this. I was like, it didn't feel as grounded, and I didn't appreciate that. I was like, I just wanted something that was a murder mystery that kind of felt within the realm of the present day, like Knives Out, like a modern day Agatha Christie, which is what Knives Out was good at. And I just felt like this missed the mark on all accounts that way.
Agreed. No doubt. Definitely from the Red Moon crew here. Well, at least two of us. We don't know about Sean.
Yeah, we don't know. And
Sean may differ.
He might enjoy it. Most people have. And I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad, like, I don't think like you're dumb for liking the movie. I just felt like because some people.
No, I agree with you. I agree.
Like not specifically us, but they do think when you criticize something, like there's a level of pretentious there. But I'd also argue the same thing goes the other way
for positively liking it,
because there's people like, and Rian Johnson hasn't acted this way, but I mentioned Cronenberg in his review. It's like, oh, well, you don't like my movie, you just don't understand it because I'm so much smarter than you.
Right.
And it's like, no, it's not that I don't understand Glass Onion, and so far Rian Johnson hasn't behaved that way, but I know James Cameron's a similar person. It's like, well, you don't like my movie just because you're just uneducated. And I'm like, I'm sorry, no, you're just not as smart as you think you are.
Exactly. And that's where exactly I would agree with you, and not only want to drive that point home further is that if anything, we're being critical about the pretentiousness of most of the people who do watch this and praise it for its values and what it promotes, and we're on the opposite side of that, saying, no, you're not as cheeky as you think you are, and you're not as clever as you think you are. If you say
it was entertaining and I enjoyed it, I'll say that's fine. If you say, well, no, you're just not smart enough, I'd be like, no, that's not the problem.
No, I got it. I just didn't like it.
Yes. So,
simple as that.
Yeah.
So, subjective. That's what reviews are.
Yeah.
But hey, tell us what you thought of Glass Onion.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it on Netflix. It's worth one watch. I don't know. I mean, I say that, and then at the same time, I think about it, and I'm like, there's so many other better movies we're about to talk about.
If you like Knives Out, because, I mean, again, most people did like this, so it's kind of hard for me to say no, but I didn't care for it.
I agree. I was not a huge fan, and if you do pass it up, I don't think you're missing anything special. I think people are raving about it right now, and it's the hot thing on Netflix. Of course, I know people who obviously love the messages that it drives home are going to be raving about it for a while. But if this wins any awards, again, we know why it's winning awards.
I feel like, we'll see. We'll see. I know it is one that they predicted to have some noms, but I kind of feel like I'll have to see what else is out and when we get to that time. But I kind of feel like they might be wrong on this one. It's just, I don't know.
No, there was nothing spectacular about this film. Nothing stand out at all. It will come and go.
If it gets a nom, it's going to be low tier. Like, it's not going to get wins.
It better not. So. If it does, I mean, it won't surprise me considering the climate of today's, elite in Hollywood. Of course it won't. But time will tell. All right, let's head into our headlines. All right. Ready to talk about some movies?
I'm ready to talk about all the movies.
All the movies.
I mean, we got I know we're going to go in the ones we liked, the ones we didn't like. I want to. Well, what we're looking forward to.
We got Kara Sidgwick and Harrison Ford's divorce settlement makes history.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my gosh!
So I know.
Zoom in and over on this. I want to bring up this because, I mean, this is pretty much... This is not every movie.
This is a really good
list. It's a good list.
Impressed by this list.
I say MovieWeb actually did a good job of just showcasing almost every movie that did come out.
Well, it's funny. The next year list you clicked, because I clicked the 2023 on this, and also the link you sent. And the other link did a better job than MovieWeb, because I noticed there was a lot of movies that had old dates, like the Marvels list is still coming out in February. It's like, ooh, that's not true, because Ant-Man comes out in February, and because everything was pushed back. So I'm glad you sent that other link. But yeah, they did a really good.
The other link we're going to use as far as our projections of what we're looking forward to in the new year. But right now we're going to kind of go through a list of what came out this year.
If anybody clicks on the links we provided, know that if you click the 2023 on here, it's not quite accurate, but the other link is. So
let's start out with the beginning of the year. I mean, we got that wonderful 355 that came out.
I know the Harry Potter 20th anniversary was very special. J.K. Rowling was a TERF, so she didn't get invited. I remember that.
Well, of course, rightfully so.
So we're talking about the ones we actually did enjoy, right? So
here's the thing.
The ones, not just going to mix it up. It's the same list.
We're going through pretty much.
Let's go through. Go back up to the top real quick. Let's see what else. Since I didn't care about any of those. We can go back down.
Well, I was going to say,
Scream.
Clearly, we didn't see every movie on this list. We reviewed quite a few of them.
I'll even mention ones because actually I am interested in Belle. I've heard some decent things. It's an anime,
but I kind of want to just go through, like, as we go through the year. Yeah. There were a lot on here that I completely forgot about.
Oh yeah.
As we scroll through them, like, I don't remember any of these. The Edge of War.
Well, we watched Scream. It wasn't good. Moonfall wasn't good.
See, I even forgot Jackass Forever.
That was funny.
Moonfall, man. Oh my gosh.
I was thinking about, because I was looking through all of them, because we have like the ones we liked, the ones we didn't like, best and worst. And when I saw Moonfall, I was like, oh man, that's a contender for worst. But it's not the worst, in my opinion.
No, it's not.
It's not at all.
Well, objectively, it can't be the worst. Objectively,
well, here's the thing.
No, our worst rated film is.
I know.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Good Lord, yeah, the Moonfall was not the worst. It had some actual entertaining moments, but not for the right reasons.
No, it was entertainingly bad.
But yeah, most of the early year kind of sucked. Like, look at all this. Garbage.
We were just talking about Agatha Christie, Death on the Nile.
Mediocre.
I mean, some of these I just forgot they came out.
Yeah.
Uncharted.
Uncharted was decent.
It was okay for again the first foray.
That lands in the middle of the pack for me, really.
Agreed. It was a fun, action romp. It wasn't. It was honestly a February release is fun.
I have heard great things about Dog. I did want to watch it at some point, but because of I have not brought myself to do it.
Look, Dog and Wolf came out in the same month.
Yeah, nobody even knows what Wolf is. So
they did a remake.
Dog had Channing Tatum. Yeah, was it Netflix? Yeah, Netflix did. It wasn't good.
I heard it was bad.
Yeah,
it's not. I forgot that came out.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we always got to have a Medea in there.
Yeah, actually, I did want to see Studio 666. It looked funny. It's a Foo Fighters made a movie and they star in it.
Oh wow!
And it's supposed to be kind of tongue in cheek, like dumb, bad.
Hey, one of Disney's first failures of the year.
Yeah,
Turning Red.
The Batman was decent.
It was okay. Honestly,
I said decent. That doesn't mean great.
No, I agree. I'm agreeing with you.
I think
it's funny
liked it
because
more at the time that in retrospect, like not that I disliking now, but having seen it another time, I'm just like, eh.
Talk about a movie though that truthfully came out when it did.
The hype faded.
And the hype completely faded.
When you look at how long some of these others have lasted, I mean, as far as what people are talking about, like, I mean, it kind of, it got overshadowed by a lot of other things that came out this year.
Agreed.
it's just not as it doesn't have the staying power as Nolan's. Like I mentioned, liking it as much as Batman Begins, but after seeing it again, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't have that same level of timelessness that I felt like Nolan's trilogy has managed.
Agreed. So, let's see, looking
X
through here,
was great.
We ended up reviewing that towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
But definitely, yeah, fantastic.
That was one of the
film.
better ones this year, I would say. There it is. RRR.
One of the best movies of the year.
You have not seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, but that's actually a good one too.
I've actually, the guy that I was talking to at work who had mentioned specifically about his favorite movie, or we were talking about Glass Onion, he said his favorite movie is of the year is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I won't say it's my favorite, but it's good. It
is good?
I won't fault it because it does have I believe the director is Chinese as well. Some of the themes are kind of like I don't know, not Buddhist, maybe Hindu, and I mean there's nothing wrong with that because that's the movie he's making, and I appreciate it. But there's just certain things about that
message that
I don't entirely agree with, but I don't think it's a bad movie because of it, because that's the nature of what the movie was made to be.
Right.
You get like it's kind of a hard thing to knock it for, but at the same time.
I was going to say, it'd be like, I can sit there and objectively call The Passion of the Christ a good movie.
Yeah.
But,
but if you're not
obviously
a Christian, you may
it
not
does
agree
affect
with it.
me differently as a Christian.
Yes. So,
no doubt.
RRR was terrific. That was
fantastic movie.
The Lost City was wonderful. It was
I don't know if it's quite my favorite.
No,
but it's definitely, it's up there. It's up there. Morbius.
Not the worst movie of the year, surprisingly, but it was very bad.
Very bad.
I didn't know the Pink Panther came out again this year, so that was nice.
I didn't know that either.
It's probably a re-release.
Well, and is this the original release of Morbius?
Yeah, the April 1st was, I believe.
April Fools. Ambulance. I know Sean actually didn't mind that movie.
I have
he
not
watched
seen
it on his own.
Luck. I know it didn't get a lot of great reviews critically, but that's the first movie from Skydance Animation, which is the studio John Lasseter is now the head of.
Okay.
And I did want to check it out. I'm wondering if it's really bad, like critics say, or if it's just because they don't want to give John Lasseter another chance. Like, honestly, I'm curious because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, well, yeah, based on any accusations, it's like, oh, we gotta just say he's terrible.
Even if it's not that great, I'm like, well, it is his first with this studio. I would give him time, but we'll see.
We'll see. We had another Madagascar.
I don't think that's true. Like, that's not even, like, that's Photoshop.
Look at that 4. Yeah, that's got to be fake. April 15th.
See, here's the thing with MovieWeb. You can't trust everything.
Well, there were things on here that they completely omitted.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have Bullet Train on here coming out in August. And I'm like, well, how did they miss that?
I think there may be a Madagascar 4 in development, but I'm pretty sure there's not been one released
Well,
yet.
and I was going to say, I think that's maybe what they're going off of, is this was a movie that...
Well, maybe at one time it was slated for 2022.
It might have been, and I think they scrapped it, or they at least went back to the drawing board. But no, let's continue. Of course, you had The Secrets of Dumbledore. Just terrible.
Father Stew was a good one.
Father Stew.
And The Northman. Look at that.
Both of those.
Both of those were fantastic.
Right. Pretty close to each other. I still need to watch The Northman.
Actually, I have heard decent things about The Bad Guys, which was DreamWorks' animated film this year. I haven't seen it, so I can't judge. But I have heard it was decent.
Forgot about The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Forgot we reviewed that one.
Not my favorite this year, but fun. Yeah.
It was a decent movie. Definitely not my favorite.
I don't care about any of those.
Didn't remember
Doctor
any of
Strange
these.
was not,
The Multiverse of Madness.
We can move on.
Yeah, pretty much. I would agree.
Men.
Still haven't checked out Men, but there we have it. Possibly one of our favorites of the year.
I'm not going to say yet, but that's definitely for sure up there. Obviously,
Top Gun Maverick is by far one of the best films of the year, no doubt.
Definitely.
I mean, we'll continue through the list, but we'll both have to stake our claim as what we think is our favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
Okay, when we get down to it.
Keep on keeping on.
There it is, the worst of the year.
Crimes of the Future, of course.
Objectively, our worst reviewed film of the year.
Dominion had the worst rating, I think, though.
The only film that we've ever given a total bomb.
Here's the thing, though. As funny as that is, I don't think it's the movie I hated the most this year. I mean, I did really hate that movie because of how it was the wrap up to a franchise, and I stand by my bomb rating. I would agree. I should have given Crimes of the Future a bomb. That's the thing.
Wow, I love that retroactively going back and saying that one.
I gave it a little bit. I don't know why. I mean, Terror on the Prairie was fantastic, by the way. I just happened to notice that was up there. The only way you could see it was a Daily Wire subscription, obviously. And I know some people be like, oh, well, I'm not supporting them. Well, you know what? It was an amazing movie, better than Crimes of the Future and Jurassic World.
Right.
Yeah. I don't. Have you seen that one yet?
I have not.
You need to. That actually.
And I have a Daily Wire subscription, and I need to watch it. And I have not.
I'll be honest.
I've watched every film they came out with. The Hyperions wasn't on there. We watched that.
Oh, they're all good.
What is a Woman documentary is fantastic.
Terror on the Prairie, I think, has been my favorite out of all the ones they've released so far.
Wow. Well, and I think it's interesting that they did actually announce or have it on this website because I think it was with having forgetting her name, daggone it.
Gina
Carano attached to it. I think it definitely brought in a lot of eyeballs.
This helps anybody because I know a lot of people, it's a bit of a cult favorite, but Bone Tomahawk, same director, because I know a lot of people that love Bone Tomahawk, which I have not seen, but after seeing this, I really want to. So, but yeah, it was really good. So Terror on the Prairie is worth checking out.
But it's funny that you're talking about Terror on the Prairie being one of the better ones of the year, but the fact that it's sandwiched in between two massive, one massive release and then one
overly hyped critically. Cronenberg.
Crimes of the Future is going to completely get overlooked for awards this season.
Crimes of the Future was awful.
It was
awful.
And
Jurassic
honestly,
World was awful.
Both were terrible, but I think I would agree with you. I think I didn't have any hope or expectation for Jurassic World Dominion.
I already kind of knew
it was going to be bad.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be dumb fun.
And again, it was worse than dumb fun. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve its bomb. I think it does, but I think
Crimes of the Future I think is worse in terms of how highbrow it thinks it is and how just
pretentious Cronenberg was, how pretentious the critics were. It's so brilliant and ingenious. No, it wasn't.
It's terrible. It's a terrible movie.
Let's keep going. Here's one. Again, it's not one that you're going to sit through and just be like, oh, this is highly entertaining. But Mad God, I would give more creative credit to than Crimes of the Future. Mad God was different, weird, but it's interesting if you like stop motion.
I was going to say, definitely interesting for the...
We get to our second Disney flop of the year.
Disney flop, right there, Lightyear, coming out in June.
They have had a bad year. Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe was also terrific if you're a Beavis and Butthead fan.
What is that available on?
It's Paramount Plus.
Okay.
Yeah, that was actually good. There's another one that was a disappointment. Black Phone was not...
Which is funny because a coworker of mine said he disagreed with our review.
That's fine.
And I thought it was great. He listened to our discussion. He thought,
Here's another... Black Phone actually is another one that I would say I'm a minority on. Because
one that I haven't seen yet either that I need to watch.
Now, granted... I think the user score on it's a little bit lower than the critics as well, but they're still both favorable. So I'm not going to, I can't say that you're wrong for liking it. It's just one that I did not, 83 critic score, 88 audience score. So for the most part, people do like Black Phone. It didn't do it for me. I thought it was it.
I get that. But no, one that I didn't mind too much. It's not my favorite, but I thought it was going to be a bad one, or at least it was going to be lukewarm, and
Very
it was
generic.
better than I thought. Elvis
was better.
It really and they even have untitled Elvis Presley.
Yeah,
project.
wow. I would say Austin Butler deserves all the praise he gets for that movie.
True.
If it gets any type of award recognition, I'd be okay with him. But other than that, I don't think it really deserves it. But it is decent. Yeah,
I would agree. There's Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Another just completely
here we go. Another
needing to be overlooked.
Another contender for best film of the year.
Nope. Nope was good.
Nope was fantastic.
Yeah, it was. It was a really good movie. I would agree.
I did not see Where the Crawdads Sing, but I know that was popular for all the ladies.
I'm not gonna watch it.
I'm never gonna watch it.
Not my cup of tea. I also think it critically didn't do really well. I think it's just kind of a bland.
There's always the ones that like every woman's like, no, you really like The Notebook, because it was like, oh, it's actually good. You need to watch it. I've never seen The Notebook, and I'm okay with that.
I've seen it. It is bad. It's exactly what you think.
Yeah, but they would say, no, it's actually really good. You got to watch it.
Well, of course, because you don't watch a lot of movies.
You know which movie is like that, though, that everybody's like, no, it's actually good. Mean Girls is actually entertaining.
It is funny.
That is one that people like.
That was before I was definitely thought Tina Fey was overhyped. I thought she did well on that film. She wrote well. I thought that was a great movie.
Tina Fey's hit or miss for me. I agree. There's times where I'm like, no. She's not as bad as Alec Baldwin.
No, she's not.
He has Beetlejuice, and other than that, I don't know.
Nope was definitely worth watching,
Fantastic.
worth seeing. We're getting into some.
What do we got here?
Here's August. Bullet Train came out on August 5th.
Yeah, Bullet Train.
And it's funny that they have Bodies, which has Pete Davidson in it.
Yeah.
I've heard mixed reviews on that.
That was one I'm intrigued by. I may watch it one day because I know it's supposed to be more comedic in tone. I mean, it's still horror, but it has a comedic element, so we'll see. I don't know.
Prey. I know you and Sean saw that.
Yeah, we kind of differed on that. I liked Prey more than he did. It actually, I thought, as a kind of back to basics prequel, I really appreciated it. I know he wanted more. But I appreciate that they kind of went back to what Predator was.
Two films that I thought were kind of mediocre.
Another contender for worst of the year.
This fall.
Yes. Okay, it's not as bad as Jurassic World or Crimes of the Future.
No, it's not. And it had potential.
It did.
That was the problem. It went on way too long, and the terror aspect of it.
It was plagued by terrible writing, honestly.
Yes.
Like, it had potential,
no doubt.
But the writing was just, in both dialogue
honestly,
and plot.
Another boring film that I just didn't... it was okay, but I thought went on way too long and didn't have the same kind of angst that like Apollo 13 did.
Yeah.
13 Lives.
Oh, actually, I didn't mind that one, but no, it was not.
Everybody kept comparing it to Apollo 13 with Ron Howard's
completely
return.
Forgot until you mentioned, even looking at it, until you said Apollo 13, it didn't register what it was to me. So that's kind of a sign of its quality. It's not that it's bad, but it's not that memorable.
It completely overlooked. Like I've forgotten about.
Yeah,
totally forgotten.
It was okay, but yeah, it was not.
See, some of these I know you saw Dragon Ball.
I don't know, but I love my dad's giving me creepy vibes. I don't know
really
what that's about.
It looks like a terrible '90s flick with like if this was.
I don't know. It looks like a grooming film. Like I love my dad in not a good way. Like the hearts and the holding the face just does not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did like Dragon Ball Super. That was okay.
Let's see. Beast was terrible.
Beast was terrible.
Actually, man, we have a lot of contenders for worst movie.
It's not the worst of the year.
It's not.
But it is. It's
bad.
It's up there with some of the worst.
It was
very
really
bad.
boring. They tried Actually, I don't know.
It's not.
I may.
We
put
got a
that
Halloween
up there.
one coming up that's worse than this.
See, I liked it better than that. I liked Halloween Ends better than
No, that's not the one I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Hold on. We're getting there. We're getting there. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
I haven't seen The Invitation.
Barbarian was
freaking
fantastic.
one of the best movies of the year.
I still want to see Brahmastra. That's the other.
Oh,
yes.
that's the other.
I'm going to watch that.
Brother.
Yes. Well, it's based on. I don't know the religion, which gods. I want to say Hindu, but I know there's a mythology that it's based on, and it does intrigue me because I do like. I like those stories. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's kind of like we love God of War with Greek and Norse mythology, so you know.
Oh man, Ragnarok was. I know it's a game, but fantastic. All right, let's keep going.
I'm going to check that out at some point.
Barbarian was no doubt one of the better films of the year.
Melissa and her brother went and saw that, and they hated it.
Well, I thought she hated it. He loved it.
I don't know. She didn't. I don't remember her saying much on his opinion, so I have to ask.
Look, my
I know it's definitely
boss
not.
at work hated it.
I know it's
hated
not.
it.
I completely understand that though. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. There is a bizarre aspect to it that not everyone's going to get behind. But I thought it was
It's fantastic.
It was actually one that was smartly done in comparison to things like Crimes of the Future that was pretending to be smart but wasn't.
Agreed. Completely understand. All right, let's keep going. One that I thought was getting a lot of attention or buzz and then completely overlooked, Confess Fetch.
I heard good things about it. I haven't seen it, but it has been overshadowed.
Oh, thank God.
There's the other one.
I know, The Woman King, the best movie of the... Oh, wait, no, I'm talking about Don't Worry, Darling, the best movie of the year.
Let's talk about Pearl.
Yeah, Pearl was fantastic.
I thought it was better than X, but both were good, so...
But I agree. A worthy follow-up and just fantastic overall.
I'm looking forward to see what he wraps it up with Maxine, so that'll be interesting. Oh, there's the best movie of the year there.
We completely flubbed it, bros.
Bros.
Oh, that wonderful, beautiful flop. We're not talking about at the box office.
I can't say it's the worst film of the year because I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's up there. I mean, based on the box office.
We know it's the worst objectively at the box office. I don't think I really don't think there's been any other movie, maybe Babylon, that just came out, and it only garnered $5 million at the box office, and they said they need to make $200 million back to break even.
I knew it did bad, and I kind of expected. I think Babylon opening Christmas weekend, I think was a dumb thing to do, anyways.
Well, especially so close to Avatar.
But we'll see how it does. I've heard it's bad, not for necessarily woke reasons. It's just I've heard a jumble mess, which surprises me coming from Damien Chazelle. Because I know the content is supposed to be very.
We are reviewing it.
It's Hollywood and it's very risque and it's kind of his take on. Look, Hollywood's always kind of been this debaucherous bad place, which is funny because it's like y'all
praise it.
Y'all keep telling these stories about how
it's where dreams come true.
And granted, that's kind of been Damien Chazelle's thing. Is like you look at Whiplash, you look at La La Land. It's always kind of like this. You kind of see the bad undertone, the dark undertones of these institutions. So it's like now he's going full-fledged with Hollywood. It's interesting, but I hear that outside of whether you like the debaucherous nature of it, because I heard it is pretty, I don't want to say overly graphic, but still kind of graphic.
I think
it's R-rated.
Roper even said, you want to take a bath after you've seen this film.
Yes, I've heard it's very, and I'm interested to see how dark that actually. We'll see.
But no doubt, I mean, you can't, like I said, objectively, you have to call Bros one of the worst movies of the year. It flopped.
Hocus Pocus 2 was pretty dang bad, too.
Yeah, that was awful. That was a very bad, unworthy successor.
I could say it's one of the worst of the year because there wasn't any entertaining. Smile was actually surprisingly
It was decent. I was going to say, it's definitely not the worst of the year, no doubt, but it was
I thought
wasn't
Barbarian
the best.
was better, but I know others would probably disagree.
Agreed. Well, and Smile's one of those two that just kind of, I think, came and gone.
Smile
I think it was
a little
touted
bit more
as
mainstream. I appreciated Barbarian for being different.
It had a good marketing campaign with just everything that was going on. During like the baseball games where people would smile, and it was one of those viral campaigns that I think was successful, but the movie just didn't really back it up.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we should have seen it already. So I'll mention the Halloween one that I said was actually the worst.
Bad.
The Munsters was a horrible
Oh,
movie. I didn't see it in there because it came out right before October. Because I don't even remember what we were talking about.
It came out during Halloween.
It came out
the week of Halloween.
The end of November because we did it the first. That was one of the first reviews.
Oh, that's right.
So that's why I was just like, I didn't see it, so I'll mention it now. Rob Zombie's The Munsters is definitely one of the worst films.
Agreed.
Absolutely terrible.
We're gonna be definitive. Don't worry. We'll give our absolute worst film picks. And best film pick here in just a sec. We're just continuing. We're about to wrap up the year here.
It's funny.
Amsterdam is no doubt one of the worst. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great.
But it was,
I definitely. It's one of those. The reason
it's
I consider
on the lower end. It's not
one of the worst
in the middle for sure.
It's on the lower end because it's one that I'll never watch again.
Oh no,
I'll never ever rewatch that ever again.
I liked Werewolf by Night actually. That was.
I haven't seen that one.
It was their Halloween special Marvel made.
Oh, never mind.
It's just
that's
like
right.
an hour special, but it was
even
decent.
including that.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Hellraiser. You had seen that. You said it wasn't really, anything
there
to talk about. Halloween Ends.
And that's not even the worst. I mean, it wasn't. I was disappointed, but it's not even the worst.
Is that freaking? What is that Game of Love? Is that what's her name?
That's
from the Disney Channel. That's Bella Thorne.
Yeah, that's Bella Thorne.
She trying to get out of porn and come back to movies?
No, I think that is the one that she directed by no, someone else. So that's not hers. Never mind.
I still do want to check out Till. I haven't seen Till.
I don't even know what that is.
Emmett Till, about that movie. We saw trailers of it in theater.
No clue.
You don't remember seeing the trailers of that?
Nope. I don't know.
I mean, it looks like another generic historical, again.
I don't even know who Emmett Till is.
What?
Yeah.
You don't know who Emmett Till is?
No.
The kid that got lynched for whistling at a white woman in Alabama?
Oh, okay.
Wow, man. Yeah. we were definitely taught that in school.
I don't remember anything about him.
I just didn't think the movie looked that great. I thought it looked kind of like a generic telling of that story. That it was probably going to be emotional.
None of that.
You don't remember that at all?
No, none of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah.
I'll check it out at some point,
I won't.
but I'm not expecting anything amazing out of it. Black Adam. Black Adam was actually was decent. Definitely not one of the best films of the year.
We may end up haven't seen it yet. We may end up reviewing the Banshees of Inisherin, depending on whether it's nominated or not. But so far, it looks like it may.
Keep going.
Ticket to Paradise. It was.
Oh yeah, Ticket to Paradise.
It was amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
So many over. Now here we are up on November. Again, I haven't seen it. The first one was okay, but I just wasn't so driven to watch the sequel.
I don't care.
The first one, Black Panther.
I don't care.
No. Wakanda Forever, definitely
That's
not.
The sad thing is most of these movies are just, even if they're not terrible, they were all just milquetoast. Like Christmas Story Christmas. It's just,
Again, not a terrible movie. Fine to watch once, but not a terrible.
Didn't do it,
It's not great either.
The menu's gotten some hype, and I thought it looked milquetoast.
I do want to see it. Devotion was definitely not worth
milquetoast. See,
yep, milquetoast.
Bones and all.
Not gonna watch that.
Disney's third flop of the year.
Hey,
their worst flop of the year, I believe.
I was gonna say they have just, like, truth be told, I think they've had more flops this year than any other year in history.
Well, technically, none of the Marvel movies were flops, even though they were not well received by a lot of hardcore fans.
Well,
so.
and not only that, but if they didn't meet the benchmark,
they did poorly enough that. Granted, whether you can believe him or not, that Kevin Feige has promised that they're really focusing on shaping up Phase 5. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if they can make a bounce back, but who knows?
Definitely haven't seen any of these.
Don't know what any of them are. Don't care.
Oh, that one was. I was
going
going to say, that one was completely overlooked.
I probably won't ever watch it either.
Probably won't watch that one.
Look,
I forgot completely that Bardo was even out. Alejandro Inarritu's movie is out.
I didn't see up there? Violent Night, because it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Violent Night wasn't on there.
But yeah, I did. Bardo I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I think it's interesting that it's completely getting overlooked. But, like, you have Avatar and you have Babylon, and Babylon's not even doing anything. And Bardo, it's like, it's completely, nobody's really even talking about it.
Like, if it gets a nom, it's solely because of Inarritu's name.
Yeah.
Because nobody's talking about it.
And I honestly do not look forward to checking it out, because I just think I've seen the trailer and it looks so obtuse.
It looks like another
so
pretentious movie.
Yeah.
It's one of these points where these directors who've been nominated multiple times get full of themselves and say, well, now anything I do is brilliant because I'm brilliant. So,
well, and I've heard that about Babylon with Chazelle.
Yeah.
And it's like he's
which
just,
is a shame, because I love Whiplash and La La Land, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, could be wrong. The Whale is another one that if it's nominated, I'll check it out.
We probably will be reviewing that in the near future.
We'll see.
And I think we're towards the end here.
Boots,
Had that glass onion.
I want to dance.
And there we go. Let's do it. Let's talk about
I'm trying to think if there's anything
was your favorite movie of the year.
I'm trying to think if there's anything left off of here that we did review, because I know, like, the Adam Project was one, but it was milquetoast in my opinion.
When I get that website fixed and we can just rank it by the year of all the movies we reviewed.
Well, because some of them are kind of streaming movies, like the Munsters, even though. But that's weird, because the Munster, like, Werewolf by Night's on here, and that was solely a streaming special that's only an hour long.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their criteria is. They don't have any.
But let's talk about it. What would we consider to be? We're gonna get to these
looking through
the new releases
all of
here
those.
in a little bit, and what's coming up, but not yet. We're getting there. What would you say?
I mean, I can easily say I'm trying to whittle it down, but between. I'd say the three worst for me definitely were The Munsters, Jurassic World, and Crimes of the Future. And I want to say on a technical level, The Munsters, because it just didn't even have a story.
Wait, let's start with favorite. Favorite.
See, I like what I hate first. But we can.
Now I got to change the lower.
We can do favorite. We can do
no,
favorite.
No. Now go with the worst. The Munsters.
Well, so my favorite is definitely between.
Stop! I'm changing. It doesn't match the lower.
See, on a technical level, I want to say Munsters because it didn't have a story. But gosh, Crimes of the Future I hate the most, I think, out of all of them.
Wow.
Jurassic World is close second. Yes, even though, again, the Munsters just technically had no story. The Munsters is just one of those things that's just, it'll come, go, be unmemorable. I don't care. But for me, Jurassic World being the ending of a franchise that was just completely mishandled, and Crimes of the Future, which is praised as this return of Cronenberg's genius. And I think there was a higher bar set, like you said, with Crimes of the Future, for it to be so just a bunch of bullshit. Like, sorry.
No,
like,
it's true.
But it was just a load of hot garbage that critics were like, oh, it's so brilliant, and it speaks about our culture, and it speaks about society.
I just don't. I understand if people get up because they're just not ready.
This is how society's going to be, and it's like, yeah, if Hollywood's still in charge of things, this is how society. That's what I found.
This is the culture you're promoting.
That is what I hated most about the movie. Is it's a movie that says, look at how low society's going to get, and I'm like, yes, because of you. It's like you You are the problem. And they even make fun of themselves in the movie, these type of peoples that are so terrible. And it's like, how do you not see that you all are the people in this movie? So, yeah. It was Hollywood being so full of themselves like they do with Oscars, what they do with every ceremony where they pat themselves on the back for being so ingenious. And it's like, yeah, you're promoting the degradation of society and applauding yourself for pointing out that you're doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to go probably with, while I want to say Crimes of the Future, I want to pick something different just because I don't want to jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah, I hated that movie.
And The Munsters was terrible. However, I think I'm sticking with Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah.
Objectively, because we gave it a bomb, but also because
it deserved it. Crimes of the Future did too.
It's just such a waste of even revisiting an IP.
Yeah.
And the fact that we got Jurassic World, which was milquetoast, they progressively got worse. But ultimately, I think what really pissed me off the most about Dominion is it does not appreciate your time at all. It is mind-numbingly stupid from the start to finish.
Yeah. Oh,
and they literally just bring in cameos and try to make callbacks that are cheap callbacks. It is the epitome.
The old actors serve no purpose.
Oh, yeah.
You don't even get the premise you're promised of society learning how to deal with dinosaurs now just run amok through society. It's like you think you're going in to see, oh, this could be an interesting premise that they've not done in the series before. Oh, no, we don't get that. We get giant locusts.
Yeah, no. It's the epitome of what I think the biggest waste of money in Hollywood is. And granted, you could sit there and say, well, maybe it made enough money at the box office to warrant it a success. But no, I can't ever, I will never revisit that film.
No.
And even when I was watching it, I just kept thinking, when is this going to be over? I just couldn't help but get through it enough to not have found anything remotely worthwhile in that film.
And it's funny because I think you're exactly right about it being the epitome of, because I was looking at, again, next year's movies, since we were going to talk about those, and seeing so many of the sequels and remakes and reboots, and I'm just like, gosh, like, I kind of am glad now that a lot of these franchises are petering out, are bombing. It's like Hollywood needs to go back to making, like, looking at the best movies of this year, only one of them was a sequel. A lot of the movies I loved this year were either independent, more smaller made films like Barbarian or unique ideas. I mean, I just hate the fact that while in the past I would I love certain franchises. I love Star Wars. I love Lord of the Rings. And it's not that I'm opposed to getting more content in those worlds. I mean, that's great, but I don't want the content just for the sake of content. If you're just going to crap out whatever because you're just trying to get a buck and you don't actually have a good story that adds to the mythos that has already been created there's no point. And Hollywood they're not trying. They see these movies as, we've seen it already through the year, they're popcorn flicks. They're just theater or theme park ride movies. So why do we need to put in an effort? And it's like, that's why they're just theme park movies. They don't have to be that. You can make movies like Peter Jackson did with Lord of the Rings that are both an amazing thrill ride and also have depth and an emotional gut punch. Like, they don't have to be one or the other. And I'm just getting tired of all these milquetoast like Marvel movies that no longer have any depth or emotion.
Nope.
It's like, I'm sorry.
They know the name alone and the dazzling effects are they are. I don't want to say they think or they know, but they believe that that's all that it's going to take to get butts in the seats. And for the most part, your general audiences are going to enjoy those films or at least go to see them because it's a popcorn flick. That's why, I at least give credit, and it pains me to say this, I at least give credit where credit is due, and that's why I was somewhat more impressed with Avatar: The Way of Water, because it was like, okay, as much as I wanted to hate on the film, it's actually not only enjoyable, it's a solid blockbuster.
And that's the thing. As much as they might try to give it Oscar praise like the first one, which I don't think this one deserves either.
It doesn't.
It's like the Avatar 2 isn't that's what, again, Hollywood just can't seem to fathom. That is not the bar being raised. That's where the bar should always be. That's what a blockbuster should always be. And they act like, look at how amazing and above this is. Yeah, it's much better than Marvel.
Look at what we just reviewed last week for our Christmas film with Die Hard.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a blockbuster that still stands the test of time.
It's amazing.
And you look at any film that transcends generations in that regard, Jaws being the first blockbuster. Most of the ones that actually are worth their weight in gold, it's not just because, it's a cheap trick and they're just trying to get you in the, your butts in the seats. It's like, yes, we all want to see the dazzling, next big adventure. The problem is now because we know computer, everything can be computer generated, there still has to be a wow factor.
Yeah.
And the wow factor either comes from the evolution that you saw with The Way of Water or something like Top Gun Maverick, which is just a step above anything that you would see from the 80s iteration, but also in terms of the way, that's how you do big budget, IMAX films that are like, oh, I've never seen anything like this before.
Finding new ways to get things done practically is what I love about Top Gun Maverick, about the Mission Impossible movies, about what Christopher Nolan does. I mean, don't get me wrong. I appreciate what Avatar 2 did with special effects and CGI. That's amazing too. But I'm much more impressed when they find ways to build new rigs to get these aerial shots that you don't have to do CGI, because it looks authentic, because it is authentic, and it's that much more impressive.
Agreed.
Watching Top Gun in IMAX honestly blew my mind more than Avatar 2. And granted, Avatar 2 had amazing special effects. I'm not saying it didn't blow my mind. I was like, oh, wow, this actually is good. But I actually just recently stumbled across an old, making of Thanos and stuff, and like, the stubble on his chin and this and that. And I'm like, honestly, I'm not saying Avatar 2 isn't better than this, but it's really not that much more revolutionary going back and rewatching, the up close of them creating Thanos, and the fact that he does have realistic skin tones and flaws, and that's what the problem with She-Hulk was, is that everything was smooth in one shade of color, and there was no texture, there was no grit, there were no like splotches. That was the one thing Joss Whedon talks about creating Hulk in the first Avengers, and how they gave him, like, it's not that he's just green, but it has to be, what does the blood look like underneath the skin? What is the imperfections? Because how do you make it look like real skin, not just this green latex? And it's funny that because CGI has become so commonplace, it's almost like we've taken a step back and is just accepting certain things, that Avatar 2 can come out and be like, oh, this is so amazing. And it is amazing, but it's really just the next step that we've allowed ourselves to just accept garbage, I think. When you see Marvel, when you see the Fast and the Furious franchise, when you see Jurassic World, we've kind of gotten away from the diehards and the Jaws.
I agree, but I think we've allowed our... We kind of still have the suspension of disbelief, thinking that we're going to go in and support these films, and we know they're outlandish and ridiculous, and so we're still willing to throw our money towards the fun adventure of going to the theater to see even a terrible movie. I mean, that again is why Jurassic World Dominion remains my worst film of the year, is because there is nothing edifying about it. There is nothing that is like, okay, this is for the fans.
They did not try to do anything
worthwhile for that movie. It's clearly just the Jurassic Park IP on a movie. That's it, with dinosaurs. That's all there is. That's the only kind of correlation it has to the original. There's no heart in that film. There's nothing. But ultimately, I want to kind of pivot towards the best film of the year.
Yeah, we do need to get there, for sure.
Because I do want to say it was between two for me. And very divisive.
You want to name one and I'll name one and see if we got the same two?
Yeah, sure. So I'll go with the more obscure one, the one that most people will probably disagree with us on and would be the most divisive, and that would be Barbarian.
Okay.
Barbarian was definitely one of my favorites. I don't think we have
the same two, but I mean that one is definitely up there for me.
So Barbarian was one, and my other one was Top Gun Maverick.
Okay. Mine would be Top Gun Maverick and Nope, because I really love Nope.
Okay.
I did love Nope. But Barbarian's right up there. I mean that would probably be in the top 3. I agree.
And I know just some people would be like, Barbarian? Really? No, it was.
There's some people that would say that about Nope as well. Yeah. Because there's people that didn't like it. That still asking.
I love Nope.
There's people that still
Nope was my favorite Jordan
what the point
Peele.
of the monkey was. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Can you not tell what the... but Glass Onion's genius.
Yeah. I hate that. It's like Nope was stupid. It's like, I mean, why you even have that scene with the monkey? You didn't add nothing. I was like, if you didn't understand the point of the monkey, then I'm sorry. You didn't understand the point of the film.
Agreed. But no, Barbarian to me was... it was such a refreshing take on the horror genre, and again, it's easy to, I think,
well crafted. Yeah,
it's well crafted, and it's easy to layer, I think, modern day pop culture or even modern day like woke culture messages on top of it. But I think that misses the point of the film, and I think ultimately it's just a good story with good character development and what it takes to tell a really good story. That literally you could just derive universal values out of. And I think it's just a good movie in general, but also Top Gun Maverick. I don't think there was a single film other than, I mean, Barbarian I enjoyed, but as far as actually walking out of the theater with a smile on my face, almost willing to possibly go buy another ticket and watch again, Top Gun Maverick was so good. And it was something that we had seen trailers for ever since COVID. It continually got pushed back from last year. I saw trailer after trailer, and I kept thinking, okay, I've seen enough of this film in trailers over and over again. I'm just ready to watch the movie, and I don't think it's going to be that great. And I was blown away by it.
Yeah.
It was something that I incredibly, not only thoroughly enjoyed, but it was incredible to me just the visceral visual effects that it actually depended on in terms of it being real, and doing it, realistically. Like you said, the I don't know why the word's escaping me, but not CGI.
Practical
effects.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's exactly what I'm looking for in the next Mission Impossible that's coming out next year.
I'm actually that's a franchise that's now it's funny that's
truly resurrected itself. I think
is this its 9th movie?
I thought it was like its 7th. You got 1, 2, and 3.
I thought there was already Ghost Protocol 7, but I could be wrong.
You've got Rogue Nation, and I thought there was one other one, and then this one. And then this one is 2 movies. So, I think this is like 8 and 9.
I think this is 7. And maybe this is, either 7 and 8 or 8 and 9. So, this is 7. Dead Reckoning Part 1
Okay,
7.
so it'll be 7 and 8.
But it's one of those things where they're just well done because they're not trying, again, you have this point where they're focusing on making the best possible story within the world of Mission Impossible. They're not trying to shoehorn in whatever ideologies. They're also, I think, having people like Tom Cruise, who is always insisted on making the best possible product. So you're going to have, the best writers, the best director, and granted, Christopher McQuarrie has been on the Mission Impossible movies for the last 3, I think. I have to double check that. I mean, but he's been doing a great job. He was involved with Top Gun Maverick. He didn't direct. I was trying to remember what role. He may have just been a producer, which is still impressive. He was a writer. Okay, yeah, for Top Gun Maverick.
Okay.
Which I knew that there was some relation there. And again, I think that's why Top Gun Maverick was so great. Because again, it wasn't just Tom Cruise saying, let's just, it has a name and people loved it from the 80s. Let's just slap this out to make a buck like Hocus Pocus 2. Like, what was the other bad Disney sequel? I thought there was another one recently.
There was.
I don't know. There's a bunch of them.
I know which one.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah. That's all they do.
I think Disenchanted was one definitely that I mentioned that just felt like they felt like made for TV movies on.
You could even throw the Santa Claus series in there. The short. I mean, and I'm like, I don't care if Tim Allen returned. I'm like, you already have 3 of those. Mm-hmm. You throw in a series. I'm like, again, it's the same trope.
Where's the quality? Yeah, and that's the thing. They're just making them because it's the name that brings in money, but there's no quality there, and I hate that. Top Gun Maverick, which again is technically a franchise film, it's the second one, and we were just complaining about franchises, but that's what I want. If you're going to make a sequel or a continuation of a franchise, Ghostbusters Afterlife, I don't know what.
That was last year.
Was that last year?
Yeah,
yes,
that was last year.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. Well, there wasn't any good ones this year. That was another one that, while not the best, was still, you could tell there was care put into it to honor what came before. And if you're not going to make something that honors what came before and adds to it, if you're going to do something like Rian Johnson with Last Jedi, that's just a complete slap in the face of what the franchise is, then there's no point. And that's what I'm tired of Hollywood doing is just saying, let's just make another one because it makes money rather than because they have an actual story. And Top Gun Maverick was just amazing on so many levels. I agree. I will say officially that is my favorite film of the year.
Wow. Okay.
Well, just because it was.
What was your other one again?
Nope. I had Nope up
that's
there.
Okay.
And I love Nope too. Nope was again the original. I could say it was probably my favorite original film of the year. It wasn't a franchise. Jordan Peele, we had mentioned.
He just continues to at least expand on his portfolio
going
in different
into,
ways that I'm thoroughly impressed by, and I look forward to each of his next entries.
Well, and going into a little bit of films coming out next year.
Yeah, let's talk about
that. We mentioned. How woke some movies are. Jordan Peele is someone who will talk the woke talk, but then when you see his movie, it's not actually full of all the stuff he kind of says it is. And Barbie, believe it or not, is one I'm looking forward to next year. It's kind of the same thing with Greta Gerwig, as a lot of people praise her for kind of like this feminist angle. But then when you watch Lady Bird and Little Women, and not to say that there aren't some of those tropes in there, but it's not this full-on woke movie that or critics will say it is. And it's almost like they have to give it that angle to play it up for Hollywood to praise it. But then when you watch the movie, it's actually a solid story.
And again, that's the sad thing, like you're saying. It's funny to see some of these things become a parody of themselves, but it's like when you have the actual real artist in Hollywood who feel like they have to hide behind this veil of support for woke crap, that they then have to act like their movie portrays those messages. That's why I even said Barbarian, you could easily apply that. And maybe even the director intended to put some of those messages in there.
There are things you could apply it to.
No doubt. But I still feel like on the surface, if you watch that film, you could easily walk away with a completely different opinion, and also just the story itself holds up on its own.
The reason you can easily apply certain things in these films to different ideologies is because it actually tells a universal story with universal themes. So like I mentioned, I always use X-Men as an example. You could pinpoint things and try to apply it to, well, this is a representation of the LGBTQ community. It's like, well, yeah, because it's a representation of anyone who has suffered some type of injustice or prejudice, because it's a universal message, and a universal message can be applied to other more micro. It's a macro story that you can apply micro ideals to, and that's what is good storytelling, is when you can take something that people from different walks of life can relate to, because everyone has the same type, not the same exact problems, but they can still be applied in different ways.
Well, it's what you go to see a movie, whether you go to a movie to escape or to connect with your common man, because of the fact that there is that connection of. I mean, that's the reason why I've said I love filmmaking, is when I can create a moment on film that evokes an emotion from an audience member, regardless of what that emotion is, across the scale, whether it's horror and scaring somebody or making them cry or laugh, the fact that you can evoke that from somebody just by your filmmaking, to me, is what you would go to the theater to see. It allows you to connect on a different, deeper level. The same reason you would read a book that is a classic tale, or play a video game even, or listen to some music. It's like that's what art is. It's connecting through the piece of art that you are enjoying for that reason, to connect on that level. But no, let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of what's coming ahead. I just want to run through these. We're not going to run through the whole gambit.
No.
Like we were talking about, we got that weird Megan movie coming out. It just looks bizarre. I'm like, no. Some of these I'm just gonna.
I don't know what. Yeah, the early.
There's a crap ton coming out.
Early next year doesn't look.
One of the big ones in February, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
And it's hard for me to say I'm excited for any Marvel movie right now. I do want to see it, but we don't know, because.
Coming out in mid-February, the Quantum Mania.
Yeah,
I just don't know.
I will say I'm looking forward.
Now
to
this one right here,
and John Wick.
John Wick,
Cocaine Bear, John Wick, Creed 3. I will say
this.
I'm
I don't believe.
No, that's true.
Early.
Yeah,
Scream 6 is that
early.
early?
Actually, yeah.
A year later, they're coming out with it.
It's gonna be hot garbage. Yeah, they turned it around quick.
Now Creed 3, man.
Yeah, I am looking forward. That one looks good.
Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Again, kind of interesting.
Shared 65 with us, Adam Driver.
I don't know about that one.
We'll see.
I saw the trailer. I'm kind of
I'm lukewarm to it.
I'm lukewarm, but it's funny that Shazam. I mean, with everything going on with DC,
that's the thing. There's like 3 or 4 DC movies come out this year, and as far as we know, none of them matter if everything's being scrapped. So I don't know.
We don't know.
It's hard to get excited about them either, because 1, the track record's poor, and 2, we don't even know if they matter.
Dungeons and Dragons.
That looks like hot garbage.
With Chris Pine, it looks terrible. Definitely one that I'm looking forward to in April. Super Mario movie.
Yeah, I am looking forward to the
It's
Pope's
coming
Exorcist.
out.
You're right. No. Russell Crowe's in that? Oh, gosh.
I have to see
this is going to be interesting.
Russell Crowe.
Wow. Okay.
Fat Crow.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers I am excited for. Renfield I'm interested in. That's Nicolas Cage playing the character from Renfield from Dracula. So
wow.
That could be interesting. We don't know.
I was going to say, we saw Nicolas Cage make fun of himself with Unbearable incredible weight of massive talent.
It could be interesting. I mean, I don't know. It could also be a hot garbage. But
it could be.
I'm also actually looking forward to Evil Dead Rise. Yeah. It's actually been very under the radar so far. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
Of course, another huge release from Marvel coming out in May.
That might be the only Marvel movie I'm kind of looking forward to because
kicking off the blockbuster season.
It's still James Gunn. It's actually more separated from the whole thing, right? Because it's focused on wrapping up that story rather than tying into things. So I'm okay with that. We'll see.
I'm really surprised. Fast 10. Here we go.
Gosh.
We're finally getting there. We're getting towards the end of the whole saga.
I'm glad it's ending.
This ain't it though, right?
No,
this is part one.
Part one of there's going to be 2 to end it. So
wait. Is there 11 and 12 or is it 10 and 11?
10 and 11
is
10
the
and
last.
11 is supposed to be the last. They should have ended it with 7. They should have just stopped at 7, but they didn't.
Yeah, they should have. Totally. After Paul Walker's death, they should have just said, we're sunsetting it. It was a huge, massive hit. Let's be done.
The way 7 ends is a nice ending.
I know.
They could have just let it be. And
Charlie Puth singing that song, man.
It's going to be like Scrubs for me, where there's not a 9th season of Scrubs. There's no Fast and Furious movies after 7.
It's done. Yeah, it's after that. It's finished.
I don't care about the Little Mermaid.
Oh hell no! It'll be a hit for Disney because again,
maybe. I mean, if the way they're going, who knows?
Who knows? Definitely Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse, I'm interested in. The first one was good.
Transformers: Rise of the Beast.
My only hope for this is that it's supposed to be a sequel to Bumblebee and not a continuation of the other franchise, but it does. I don't know.
Wow! And right towards the end of June and even beginning of July, you got 2 huge heavy hitters.
Indiana Jones,
The Dial of Destiny, and of course coming out. Oh, is it? Oh, it's towards the end.
It's a little bit further, but you got Mission Impossible.
But yeah, Mission Impossible right on deck over
July
Barbie.
14th.
Whew.
That'll be my birthday movie.
There it is.
Yeah.
Mission
Let's
Impossible.
see that for my birthday.
And
Mission
of course,
Impossible.
opening the same weekend as Barbie is Oppenheimer.
Okay. Sorry. Have to see
I'm
Oppenheimer
first. I'm going to have to see Oppenheimer first. I honestly...
I do want to see both of those, though. July's a good month. So
it really
Mission
is.
Impossible, Barbie, then you get the Marvels.
Yeah, don't care about that. I actually did not know about this. I did not know they were making another Meg movie.
Oh, yeah. We talked about it.
We may have, and I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Meg to the Trench.
Here's the thing. How long ago was the first? With COVID, I know there's a lot of pushbacks, but we talked about it like when the first one came out. They talked about it, and it's been nothing since then.
What the hell is this? So, well, you have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, the Mutant Mayhem. It's the reboot that Seth Rogen's producing. I don't think he's actually starring in it, but it is.
Gran Turismo, like PlayStation licensed.
I don't know that that's actually going to be coming out next year. I don't think they've done anything with it yet. But
okay,
yes,
I was gonna say I have not seen or heard anything about that.
It does have names attached though. David Harbour and Orlando Bloom.
That's what I'm like. Maybe
the only thing I can think about is that it would be kind of a Fast and the Furious competitor, which is fine depending on what they do with it.
Dude,
but
what the hell is Orlando Bloom?
I don't know. Yeah,
doing?
David Harbour too. I'm like,
yeah.
Could you imagine either of them in like a Fast and the Furious style movie? I don't know.
I'm picturing Ford v Ferrari all over.
I am
again.
curious about Haunted Mansion because this is Disney's second attempt, third if you count the Muppets version, but I don't because that was supposed to be comical.
Basically to overwrite the Eddie Murphy one?
Yeah, but it's the way Disney's going. It's like, will it be any better?
I don't know about this one with Denzel coming out.
Oh, the
Equalizer.
They're
doing a movie version of it?
They've had
the 3?
Third,
oh, wow.
Yeah, because the first 2 actually are good.
I'm thinking of the show.
No.
The show that they rebooted
the show is a spinoff of the movies.
Right.
Yeah.
And wait, of these movies?
I think so.
I thought the Equalizer used to be a show from back in the day.
Okay, I think the movies is based off the old show.
And then the new show with Queen Latifah, which is, I think, a flop, but I don't know. I guess it's getting decent ratings.
The Equalizer movies are actually good. They're kind of in the same wave as Nobody and John Wick, but with Denzel.
Fair enough.
In fact, there's a lot of people that want all 3 of those to cross over, which I don't know who produces the Equalizer, so I don't know if that's possible. But Nobody and John Wick could. Yeah, I don't know. And I also don't know about them doing The Exorcist. I know.
Why are they even touching that movie?
Well, it's the same people that rebooted Halloween.
Why?
David Gordon Green and
Saw
Eastbound
10?
and Down. Yeah. Well, Tobin Bell's returning. I did hear about that.
How are they gonna let him return?
Well, he's been in all of them as either flashbacks or set in the past.
Well,
so you know.
Okay, so him returning is not him on the screen, or it could be. I guess maybe a prequel.
He'll be on the
Saw.
screen, but it just won't be like he survived. Like they've all been like, who knows?
But of course, we got Trolls, another family.
I am
classic.
interested in Dune Part 2. I know that's one Sean's looking forward to as well. We'll see. Chicken Run, I'm actually looking forward to. because I like the original. So
I don't know about Wish.
Hold on, go back. Did that say the Hunger Games? Oh, they're doing the prequel.
It is the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah, the prequel book.
Well, they can't. They're done with. They can't do any more Hogwarts stuff because, well, I mean, for one, she's a TERF. And because
I don't even think that's the same studio. Lionsgate did Hunger Games.
I know,
movies.
but I'm just saying they got to switch to it. They got to pivot to a new franchise.
Well, though the David Zaslav he still wants to do things set within the Wizarding world, but I think he is kind of done with the I think he's like, look,
Fantastic Beasts.
I don't know. We'll see. I hope he scraps it.
They have to. I mean, this last one was such a flop. There's just no way of recovering.
It'll be. I'm really curious to see how Warner Brothers shapes up under all this new management.
I was gonna say, I mean, with Aquaman 2 coming out, it's like, again, how in the world do you have a movie?
Well, that's the problem
within the DC universe with this massive reboot.
There's been no confirmation that they are rebooting, but it kind of looks. I mean, obviously the signs point that way.
We're not even
Quiet Place 3. I don't even know. If
I would say all of these. I'm not even.
Some
we're
of
not
these
even going to go into because
yeah.
But what out of the ones that we talked about and that we kind of looked at there,
the one I'm looking forward to most is Oppenheimer.
Yep, same.
I can't
help it. I mean, it's like Christopher Nolan's got me, man.
Well, it's one of those things where you know that there's going to be originality there. You know that the visuals are going to be amazing because he doesn't just rely solely on CGI. I mean, heck, we already talked about how he's recreated the first nuclear explosion on film, so I'm just saying. They had to make special IMAX cameras to capture the footage, so
okay. We both answered Oppenheimer.
It's got to be.
We're running late. We got to move on to our story time segment. There's a look at the movies. Tell us what you think.
It'll be an interesting.
Is going to be the best movie of 2023 for you.
Honestly, the ones I'm looking forward to most are the ones not within the biggest franchises.
True.
Other than
the originals.
Other than Mission Impossible, because they have earned our trust so far.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. But yes, let's go ahead and roll into that story time segment real quick, and we'll discuss.
It's story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
I don't know about you, but my Christmas was great.
It was great.
It was great.
It's funny how we've got one less host and one less review, and we ran longer.
Yeah, he'd probably be happy he's not here.
Yeah.
He doesn't like when we run over.
I don't know how we did that, other than we just spent a lot of time discussing.
It's our year-end review, and we went through and we were judging all the movies that we've reviewed plus ones we've seen and haven't reviewed officially.
There's interesting. But no, I had
we're saying goodbye to 2022.
I had a really good Christmas. I had a friend try to buy my love with Elden Ring, and it worked a little bit. So,
he's your best friend now.
He always was.
Oh, Sean's not here.
Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, otherwise you too. Yeah, I know.
You're secretly my best friend.
I knew he was gonna say
That's
it.
not
See,
true.
I knew he was gonna say it. But no,
all my best friends. Everybody in the world is.
Oh, screw you. Screw
That's
you.
not true. I hate people like, I love everybody. No, you don't. Nobody loves everybody.
That is true. That's actually, I mean, I don't want to go into the new year with bad feelings, but that's true.
I'm just being a realist, you know.
But no, how was your Christmas?
It was really good.
Spent it with family and friends?
Yeah. It was funny because we were up late. Like, I helped Miranda and them wrap some presents and doing whatever. And I actually, I made like these photos for mom and dad for Christmas that we took. You got the kids in Christmas kind of outfits and took their photo in front of the fireplace with the Christmas decorations, and I edited and printed those and put them in frames and all that to give to them. So I was up late, which I normally am on Christmas Eve, but what's not normal is having children there. So being up till 3 o'clock on Christmas Eve, but then being woken at 7 o'clock in the morning because the children want to unwrap gifts. It was a new experience, but it was fun. I actually really enjoyed it. So I spent the morning with Miranda and Kyle and the kids, and they were opening gifts and such before we went to my parents for our annual Christmas breakfast. We always go over there. They always, make a full spread. They do
delicious.
Well, they always do like a type of casserole that has eggs and hash browns and cheese and usually sausage or bacon in it. And then they do like this French toast casserole that is always amazing. And then they always have biscuits and gravy, and then a side of like bacon and sausage and country ham.
You're making me so freaking hungry right now.
And then we always have coffee, and they actually have milk and orange juice and champagne to make mimosas with. Yeah, you celebrate Christmas with a mimosa. So we have all that full spread. And exchanging gifts and everything. So yeah, it was a very lovely morning. Even though I'd already watched it once that year. Of course, A Christmas Story plays in the background.
Of course, all the time.
And then usually, because my mom and I love it too, but my mom and Sharon love It's a Wonderful Life. So normally they'll play.
I missed that one this year. I didn't watch it.
Well, it actually had a marathon this year too. So we did A Christmas Story, and then we flipped over to the It's a Wonderful Life marathon. And then when I went home for the evening, like we put on Christmas Vacation. So watch that again this year because that's such a great movie.
It is.
Went back over for dinner. I mean, it was a really nice day. Got a bunch of great stuff. I got this compact reciprocating saw and
cool.
some really nice tools that I needed. I got some diamond drill bits.
Nice.
The diamond tipped. A huge 200-piece set drill bit.
Dang on. Holla.
Yeah. Of course, Elden Ring and these wonderful. I can't get my leg up that high. Brian and Kristen,
Socks.
I am wearing your socks.
There it is.
They are extremely comfy. They
are. I wore them to church last Christmas Eve.
I have a fat calf. It's actually not the calf. I'm fat, but my calves are actually very muscular. So that is one part of me that's not quite fat.
Ladies,
but fresh out of the pack, they're. I mean, they feel really great, but I mean, they're very.
No, I did. They are comfortable. They're very comfortable.
Until you get them on and stretched out, I was trying to get them up over my fat calf or my muscular calf, and I was just like, oh man,
husky calf.
But yeah, I'm wearing those. They're very comfy. I smoked a cigar I got from Sean tonight, and it was wonderful.
Yep.
Had me feeling nice and relaxed. So, I've gotten wonderful gifts from friends and family. I had a wonderful day with family. So.
Mine was pretty much the same thing. It was like, I told you, actually, this is weird. The first year that I can remember in a long time that we didn't have Christmas Story playing in the background. I did watch it on Christmas Eve because I got to watch it at least once annually. Mm-hmm. But we did not have it on in the background. We just had Christmas music playing, which was fun. It was great. But it was weird that it was first time in a long time.
So you didn't watch A Christmas Story?
I did.
Oh, you did.
I watched it once Christmas Eve, but I watched it on HBO Max.
Yeah,
I never had it on TBS.
I did turn. That's funny because other than that, my parents I did turn that on after Christmas Vacation before I went back over for dinner. But
yeah, but it's this is the first year in a long time we didn't have it on in the background.
Pretty much most of the ones I watch every year. I did actually watch a lot more Christmas. And maybe
I did too.
Maybe it helped having my family, Miranda and the kids there, but I did watch a lot more Christmas movies this year. I watched both Home Alones.
I only watched Home Alone 2.
Yeah, I watched 1 and 2.
Yep.
Which a lot of people criticize 2 for being a rehash of the first.
It is.
But not so
but
much.
It's good.
But it's actually really well done. Even
it is.
I'm sitting here. It's you could in comparison to modern sequels,
everything matches up in terms of
plot structure.
Yes, and the henchmen and there's this obscure person that nobody likes.
The reasoning for why some of these things happened again, I was it
was done well.
It was done well. As opposed to The Hangover, when I'm no,
that was a straight rehash.
This is just, or even Ghostbusters, not Afterlife, the dumb one with the women. I'm just there's so many bad sequels now that is much, or even Ghostbusters 2, which was better than the woman Ghostbusters. I felt was more of a kind of a rehash than Home Alone 2. Actually, I think deserves more praise. It is not a bad movie.
No, it's not. It's not. But no, I did. I watched. I actually watched. Funny enough, and I wasn't planning on watching them all, but I did, and I spaced it out over the course of my whole weekend. I was off from Thursday of last week to just yesterday, and I actually was able to get in all 3: Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King.
Oh, I'm planning on watching those after the new year.
I was gonna say
I'm gonna watch all because I have them all in 4K. I'm gonna go The Hobbit through.
The thing was, the last time I watched them was when we did our Lord of the Rings night just last year. I think it was last year when we went to Sean's. But even then, I know we fell asleep halfway through Two Towers because we watched the extended versions.
I got further than you all.
So, I will say, I actually enjoyed watching the theatrical just from the memory and nostalgia sake.
Yeah.
But watching them and thoroughly just sitting down and saying, no, I'm actually going to pay attention to these. I mean, I've seen them so many times. I could get up and do stuff. And I know exactly where we're at in the movie. But it was good to actually finally sit down and enjoy them. And they are movies that came out during Christmas. And I was like, man, I really enjoyed watching those through again.
I watch
right back to back
recently just because it was another one. I have to think about it. There was something I watched because it came around Christmas, but no, I plan on maybe picking a week and doing like maybe one because I want to do all 6 extended versions, The Hobbit through Lord of the Rings. So like maybe one a day, just because I've not watched all of The Hobbit extended either, and I do love.
Same, I haven't.
It's not. The theatrical versions are perfect. The extended versions aren't anything that like you're really, but there's added lore in there that's fun to watch. It's one of those things where,
and I'll be honest, I actually prefer, like when we go to talk about Lord of the Rings extended, I prefer the theatrical to the extended. Extended are fine, but I'm just like, they are such long movies, and I don't feel like the extended versions add so much.
They just add like again lore. There's just lore from the books,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
It's not integral to the story,
which makes sense as to why it was cut.
Yeah.
But I just remember and have more memories of seeing obviously the theatrical versions in theaters. So it's like I enjoy Lord of the Rings as I remember it when I first saw them.
But I do want to give those a rewatch. I've been rereading Tolkien, which is why I think I'm
Well, because we there's nothing. I was gonna say there's been nothing new that's come out that's worthwhile.
And I think just because it was. Oh, that's what it was. No, thank you, because I remembered. Just because of Tolkien and Rings of Power, I've also just kind of like, it's been a long time since I've read anything from C.S. Lewis, especially the Chronicles of Narnia, because they're more children's books, probably middle school. But I did reread The Magician's Nephew just for the fun of it, like because you could read that in like a day.
Yeah,
200-page children's novel. But I did read that, and I attempted to try to watch The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, because that did also come out around Christmas.
Yeah.
And that has a little bit of Christmas in there.
It's not terrible.
It's
but
not bad, but
not,
I got... It's definitely dated. I watched it, and I was just like, I got bored, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to finish this, and I didn't.
Yeah. It's not only dated, it shows, I mean, it really uniquely is kind of a kid's fantasy movie. Yeah, which is odd. I just didn't like. But you can still
make it. That was the thing that, because even
that's
rereading
what I love about Lord of the Rings, it's like a kid could still watch that, and it's not. I mean, yeah, there could be some scary elements.
That like because the books
mature,
are
right?
Like, it doesn't need to be that detailed or in depth. But one thing, like rereading The Magician's Nephew and C.S. Lewis is, yes, obviously it's a children's book and it's very simplistic, but it has a level of wit and humor to it that an adult can appreciate. Even though it is very simplistically written, that I think is what was lost in the movies. Because watching it, they play everything as very childish, and I'm like, rather than childish, some of this is supposed to be kind of like more humorous in the fact that it is childish, because that way adults can relate to it, but it's still childish enough that kids are fascinated by it. And it loses that, I think, that little bit of wit that Lewis had that the movies just don't quite capture. So I'm hoping, I have no faith Netflix will capture that either, but
probably not.
We'll see what they do with their because they're still producing. They've had the rights, I think, for like 5 years now, and they say they're still in development on it, so we'll see.
But no, to wrap up the Christmas convo, also I love the fact that I won't really drop any of the gifts that I got. But they were all gifts that I told you right before the show.
I dropped what I got.
I got like a media remote for the PlayStation.
Good job.
Because I use my controller and it dies a lot.
Honestly, it makes me kind of want one now.
Well, that's what I'm glad I got it. It was like, okay, like I said, I was going to preface it with the reason why I enjoy getting Christmas presents now are they are things that I will use, but they're not necessarily things that I will buy. If there's something I really need as an adult, I'm just going to buy it.
Yeah.
But I do jot down things throughout the year of like, I could use that, and I put it on a list of like a want, but not a necessity. And then when it comes around Christmas time and I'm like, I don't go too extravagant because I know my parents aren't going to spend that ridiculous amount of money. They spend more money on my nieces and nephews as they should, but it's like there are some things on there, little trinkets and whatnot, that I'm like, oh, they'll get me that. I'll put that on my list.
Well, that's like with some of the tools. Like that's actually the same thing for me now. Is like there are things throughout the year that like I just noted, like owning my own home, that like the reciprocating saw that I got. I've had to borrow my dad's a few times this year for different odds and end projects, and that was just something I kind of like. It wasn't necessarily something I had to have, but it was something that was just very handy to have. So I was glad to get that. And it's those things that it is funny how your mindset shifts as you get older. Yeah. I remember last year, like I asked for towels, and I told this story on the podcast because Mom's like, "That's all, it's really what you want for Christmas?"
Like, yeah,
and I was like, "Yeah, because towels can be expensive."
Exactly, that's my thing.
Some really nice towels would be nice.
Well, and even like the few times that I've gone fishing with my dad, and this is just sad that I'm a man and I didn't have my own tackle box.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. But I've gone fishing and I just use their tackle, and I'm like, I need a damn tackle box. So I asked for that. I got that. And I got a couch cover.
Nice.
A washable couch cover because I have a dog that sheds, and it'd be really nice instead of just it getting all over the cushions and all over even the throw cover that I had, the throw blanket that I had tucked underneath the pillows. It's like that would get bad, and I'd have to take it off and wash it, but it wouldn't get real clean. I'm like, there's just little things like that where I'm like, man, it does. It makes a world of difference.
Getting excited about a couch cover sounds funny, but I mean, I got this nice like set of, it was oven mitt, one of those oven, like the square oven pot holder or pot whatever, and towel that was like it's a Peanut Snoopy set, and it was really nice, and I actually still have it in my bedroom because I don't want to put it out and it get nasty. Like I'm like, it's like I will use these and keep them clean.
No doubt. Alrighty, guys. I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. We definitely went over. I think this is our longest episode. Besides our very first one.
It's not our longest episode.
Our very first one was terrible.
Longer one.
Alrighty, guys. That's going to do it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Right there at the bottom of your screen is
RMPodcast
of our social media. You can talk to us on there. You can send us messages. You can tell us how much you love us. That's right. Follow us on all of our social media accounts. Like, share, subscribe. Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Picks, and search for Red Moon Productions on YouTube and subscribe there. Thank you all so much for joining in. And, of course, yes, that old-fashioned way of communicating and getting in touch. Just search for, your old email wherever you need to get to it on your phone, your computer, and email us at rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com. That's right. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Our last show of the old year. We're heading into the new year. That's right. Our first episode next Tuesday, live right here on YouTube and all the social media networks at 9 p.m. You can catch us in the new year of 2023 with all of us back. And our review will be The Fablemans. We finally have it. The Fablemans.
The fabled Fablemans.
That's right, guys. Enjoy that for our first review.
We're watching The Feeblemans.
The Feeblemans.
Meet the Feeblemans.
Meet the Feeblemans. Peter Jackson and Spielberg combined. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside not our normal new host, but our other great host. You going to say it?
Turquoise Truffles?
Well, in your name.
I'm He's Vanilla Steam.
You're Turquoise
I'm
Truffles.
Turquoise Truffles.
Beautiful.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.